Welcome back to the Turntable Symphony video documentary part 2. A symphony, you say? For how many turntables? Alright, let's go!
Are we on the air?
Hold up the phonograph.
Are we on the air?
Break.
Hell.
My name is Turkman Souljah, and I study as a soloist at the Music Conservatory of Copenhagen. This is the place where I will compose, conduct and perform my turntable symphony. Not a turntable alongside a classical symphony orchestra, but me alone on stage with 20 turntables. You can think of it as 20 turntables acting as individual instruments in a symphony orchestra, creating the rich harmonic sounds from the records that they play. My study is spread across 4 semesters, consisting of roughly 6 months each. For each semester, I have made a set of goals and objectives wherein I will be investigating whether the turntable can be used as an instrument alongside other tonal instruments. This knowledge will hopefully be the building blocks that I need in order to gain a skill set that can help me execute my dream, the Turntable Symphony. And I will of course be video documenting the whole thing in order to share my research and result with you guys. So, in my last video, I researched the prepared turntable. Does it have a sound of its own, even without a record on it? And also, I researched the melodical turntable to see if I could use it on the same level as any other traditional instrument. In this video, however, my approach is a little different. I will write a piece for not 1, not 2, not 10, but 4 turntables, and I will perform it in the end of the video. But before we get our hands dirty, I feel somehow that I forgot to tell you about myself and why I became so obsessed with the turntable, the dusty vinyl records, and the wiki sounds. Where did it all start? In order to find out, we have to...
What we're gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
I was born in Iraq in 1984 in the city of Kirkuk as a Turkmen minority. Soon after the war started, Saddam Hussein and his government started to kill off people. My father couldn't accept that, and therefore he stood up against Saddam Hussein. So we had to flee in order to stay alive. Our journey ended in Denmark. We ended up in the ghetto with several other traumatized war refugees. We didn't have much to do but to hang around in the streets, and when we got home, we would be entertained by the TV. We used to watch Bruce Lee movies and MTV music videos, and occasionally, just occasionally, you would see a footage of a DJ scratching and cutting, a wiki as I would call it back then. Boy, did I become obsessed with the wiki sounds and the fast hand movements of Bruce Lee. I would scratch on my zipper and imitate the Golden Harvest Dragon. The other kids would call me Bruce Ali. One night on my way home, I was passing by the dumpster area, and there I saw it. Somebody had thrown out a turntable. I took it home with me, and I started to, yeah, you guessed it, the wiki. I was imitating the hand movements of Bruce Lee and the sounds of Jam Master Jay, DJ Noise and DJ Static. I was obsessed, and even up till today I will scratch on almost anything that can be scratched. I would later enter DJ competitions and win most of them. I won the Danish Scratch Championships 3 times in a row. I took a European and won the Scandinavian Championship 5 times in a row. I even represented Denmark at the World Finals on 3 occasions. But the big revelation happened to me when I found a record with Mozart on A side and Beethoven Piano Concerto No. 5 on the B side. At first, I would just scratch these records.
One, two.
On the way home from that TV gig, it struck me. What if I composed big harmonies and melodic motifs, but with vinyl records? And so, the dream was born, the Turntable Symphony. All because of the turntable that I found in a dumpster. Okay, now that we know a little about each other, let's proceed with this assignment, the polyphonic turntable. In my last video, I used the turntable as a melodical monophonic instrument. I altered the platter speed with the pitch adjustment fader so that my sawtooth waveform that was cut on the vinyl record would reach a higher or lower musical pitch. Sounds like this. Furthermore, I used a scratch mixer to cut off the sound and make amplitude gestures. Staccato, diminuendo, crescendo, vibrato, and of course the wiggy wiggy sounds. In order to compose and perform a polyphonical turntable piece, I will use the same techniques. However, it will now be done on 4 turntables to reach the harmonies. These harmonies will be the result of the added sum from different kinds of records with different kinds of waveforms. I will also apply rhythm section on a 5th turntable and lastly, sprinkle a little bit of piano on top of the whole thing. I will now take you through these 3 parts, which will make up my video. I placed 8 stickers on my vinyl record. As the record spins in a circular form, these stickers would then create a pulse or even a kick drum sound when it came in contact with the needle on the turn arm. The turntable needle is placed in the last groove of the vinyl. This is called a lock groove and acts as an infinite loop. The needle will stay in that interlock groove forever when left alone. The distance of the stickers creates a subdivision wherein I can perform polymetric motifs. These pulses will help me keep the time when performing the other musical parts individually. I love the sound of the piano and decided to use it as a harmonic counterpart to the dusty, itchy, scratchy sounds of the vinyl record. As I am using the turntable to imitate other melodical instruments, I thought that it could be funny to have the piano imitate the turntable. The turntable and the piano in this case is used in an acousmatic way, where the sound source is divorced from the sound. It could be the equivalence of you hearing me talking, but the sound source would then be something else than my face and my mouth. On my piano, I would do that by gradually changing the piano sound samples. I will do this on a foot pedal, which is attached to my Nord Electro keyboard sampler. Each time I move the foot pedal, I would switch to another sample layer. This transforms the sound and gives me an illusion of a needle jumping between the grooves of a vinyl record. While we're at it, let's talk about the records. So we got the pulse from the 5th turntable and we got the interchanging sound samples on the piano. Now we need to organize our records that we will be using on our 4 turntables. In my last video, I used a sawtooth waveform and used the filter cutoff on my mixer to subtract the frequencies. That was the harmonic control that I had over the overall soundscape. In this composition, I will now use a different method that resembles more with the additive synthesis. The sum of the sounds will create the harmonies by addition. Combining these waveforms in various ways will hopefully create a more challenging harmonic landscape when mixed together. Each material offers its own format and sound distortion on each of the records. So, the consumer vinyl record has a clear midtone and a sharp treble, whereas the lacquer is a bit heavier but offers more soft transients. This stands in contrast to the soft lacquer which is cut on my vinyl toy piano. That sounds almost lo-fi and worn out already. The soft and silent part in the composition will be done on this record, and the more aggressive could be that record. A vinyl record acts as a joker. It's like frozen music on this piece of... One cannot see what's on the record when you put it on a turntable. However, it will play whatever is on it. Now that we have prepared our 3 steps, I'm ready to go ahead and perform. Without further ado, I present to you my polyphonic turntable piece.
Listen, you see, really, to me, okay, to me, ultimately, martial art means honestly expressing yourself. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
In this clip, Bruce Lee talks about being shapeless as a strength. He argues that once you transform yourself, you'll be able to express yourself differently. A similar metaphor could be used to describe how I view my records, and following that logic, breaking down the intended use and form of these records may enable me to achieve a different artistic expression that I've been used to before. The frozen landscape on these records became liquefied. Pioneers have been doing this for ages, whether it being Wendy Carlos switched on Bach, Konlon Nankarov's player piano studies, the way Jay Dilla revolutionized the MPC, DJ Netik and DJ Craze, on how they used the turntables in DJ battles, or even Beethoven and his involvement in the perfection of the Hammerklavier. It could be argued that fundamentally their methods of using unconventional instruments served a singular purpose: expressing their feelings and their compositions. While I've been successful in playing the turntable polyharmonically in this assignment, by using different waveforms and different kinds of records alongside my piano, I also had a higher and more personal enlightenment. For instance, the melody played on the yellow record in the end is a lullaby my mom would sing to me as a child when we were fleeing the aforementioned war. The turntable somehow became a gateway to those memories, and expressing them on turntables and vinyls and records made me somehow secure enough to share those feelings with you guys. I mentioned the acousmatic approach of the turntable and the records. You as a listener are maybe familiar with the hypnagogic feeling of the vinyls, the dusty sounds, and the ritual of getting up and flipping to the B side when the record ended on the A side. But you, the viewer, is however also invited to accept that the turntable and the vinyl, in my case, is used in a new way. Maybe a way that you're not so familiar with. But is that even possible? Would you accept that? Would your mind accept that? The mind has an amazing way of interpreting what it sees, at times even compensating for things it doesn't understand. Palinfolia is the concept of the mind recognizing shapes in everyday objects using our inherent imagination. Take a look at this silent GIF, for instance. And although the image sequence is stripped of all sounds, your imagination will likely create an auditory illusion, lending the image a sound that isn't there. In the same respect, I believe that you guys may lend your personal experiences and imaginations to my methods of using the turntable, as long as I believe that I can express myself as honest as possible. And I will do that by inviting you guys, and myself even, as curious participants in this journey. Using the turntable in an ensemble or even in a classical orchestra or whatnot isn't a new thing at all. However, using a couple of turntables to play each notes in a chord to create big harmonic landscapes is a quite new field that we are entering right now. Thanks for watching, and please keep an eye on the next video as the journey for the Turntable Symphony continues.